Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews. Today we are going to take a look at another 2019 Schleich figure, and as you can see, it is the Dimetrodon. This is one that I had stated previously that I did not think I was going to get because I wasn't a huge fan of the paint scheme of it. I have the original, although I don't believe I've ever actually reviewed it on here, so I'll have to do that at some point. But I really do quite like the original quite a bit. I definitely am a fan of it. However, this one, I didn't really like the color scheme of it. I think the green and the blue is just awkward, doesn't look very natural on a Dimetrodon. So initially, I was not going to pick this up. However, when I was recently trying to buy the bluish/greenish dual attack Triceratops from Mattel off of Amazon, I needed to get a few extra dollars in there to get the free shipping, and I saw this guy sitting there for a decent price, so I was like, what the heck, I'll just buy it because I like having alternate colors of the same figure from time to time. So I pulled the trigger, and now I have it right here, and I can definitely say in person, my opinion has not changed. However, I have not reviewed it before, so let's go ahead and get a closer look at it right now. So starting up here at the head, you can see that the head sculpt definitely does look really quite nice. There is some beautiful scaling that they've included all throughout the head. You can see it transitions from this greenish color up here to the dark blue up on the top of the head. Again, the colors I think are just a little bit too off or too bright for what I would expect a Dimetrodon to look like. You can definitely see that the eye is really quite nicely painted with a yellow color, and then you've got a black pupil there. It's not too sloppy, a little tiny bit, but nothing major. You've got the very trademark large bulky Schleich teeth, and then a very bright red tongue. The tongue has some nice sculpt and detail to it, however, it's unfortunate that the inside of the mouth really has no paint otherwise. You can see even the skin flap here on the side of the mouth is the same color as the green that is the majority of the body of this Dimetrodon. However, the teeth are painted pretty nicely. There's no real sloppiness or anything to them. The articulated jaw really does work quite well. You can see I can open it to different lengths. There, it gets a little loose. But once you get past that point, it does work quite nicely. It's also got this beautiful hook jaw that we do see on a Dimetrodon. The lower jaw also sports some pretty nice sculpt. You've got kind of like a bumpy, scaly type of an appearance on the underside of the jaw. Even down here in the neck, there's some very nice loose skin. Lots of wrinkling going on right here behind the neck as the Dimetrodon has its head turned quite sharply to the left, so it's bunching the skin up quite a bit here in the neck region. As you come down here, you can see the beautiful looking Dimetrodon leg, very nicely sculpted. The nails appear to be kind of nicely painted. Again, they're very big and bulky, similar to the teeth, and I'm not really a big fan of that, but they do still look pretty nice. I definitely really like the scaling. There's stupid stickers in the way. The scaling of the leg looks really nice, very small, very fine scaling, and you do seem to find that scaling primarily all over the body, honestly, except when you go to the underside. You can see it's got a very different look, but it's a beautiful sculpt on the underside as well. Unfortunately, one thing it seems that they have not done that they do tend to pull off quite often is including a dark wash to really make it look very real, like a living animal probably would look, especially with something like this that would just have so many cracks and crevices. You would expect them to have included that dark wash, and it really could have looked incredible had it been included, but they did not, and I don't really know why. As you come back up the leg, you can see the skin kind of stretching there as the leg is pulling forward, and the skin stretching here as this rear leg is pulling back. The legs are stretched really far apart, so that's exactly what you would expect to see there. You can see that the side here has a very bumpy type of an appearance. Those little tiny, very fine scales are all over the place, but all over the side, and even up here in the neck, you have these very big, bulky scales at the same time, almost like osteoderm-like scales, and they've kind of dry brushed like this blue over them, which I actually don't like at all. I think it really helps to kind of give it an ugly appearance when it comes to the blue. I think potentially the Dimetrodon could have looked okay in this greenish color if they would have given it the dark wash, but this blue is just really ugly in my opinion. If you come up into the sail, the actual sculpt of the sail is loaded with detail. There is lots and lots present, and it's been hit with a nice dry brushing of like a light gray along all of these spines that stick up out of the back into the sail. It really does look quite nice as far as the sculpt goes. Again, I'm not a big fan of the coloration of the sail simply because of this blue. Again, this blue is just a little iffy to me, but it is nice to see a few different tones. Like you can see it lighten up here a little bit and then darken in this area and then darken along the tip of the sail. So there is some nice color variation. Even with the greens, it appears that there's a few different variations of greens, but I don't know, something about the colors just don't work for me. The rear leg does have some nice sculpt and detail though as well. Really nice muscle tone there. You can see the muscles flexing quite nicely as the Dimetrodon is putting some weight on that leg to walk forward. And then as you come out to the tail, you can see those very fine scales run the entire length of the tail. The tail is nice and short, really quite sharply bent to the left of the animal. And then if we look at the opposing side, as far as the paint goes, it's pretty much all the same. Actually, you can see there's so much more green on this side and a good bit more blue that's kind of airbrushed over on this side. I think it looks nicer like this. It almost doesn't look half bad with that bluish coloration all throughout, and you can even see some variations of green there, but you don't see that over here. It's really just one solid green for the most part, and then just some blue up here. So this side of the face definitely looks better than the other side. Some paint inconsistencies there on the part of Schleich, and the eye looks a little bit sloppy. Oh yeah, definitely quite sloppy, almost goofy, which is something that I don't find very often from Schleich. They're usually pretty good when it comes to their paint apps. As far as the sculpt, you can see some saggy skin here on this side, and again we pick up on those nice scales. You can definitely see the musculature there in the front leg and the rear leg. Actually, they both look really nice. I feel like it's a little more muscular in the front leg as far as the muscles flexing. Not so much here in the rear leg, but that may be because this one might be in mid-step forward. You can again see they've dry brushed that blue over the top of those larger scales in the midsection, which I don't really like. The sail appears to be very similar on this side to the opposing side, with a few different variations of that blue and the green, and then that dry brushing they've done over top of the sail to bring the detail out quite a bit. And then you've got this tail that has those very nice scales, a little bit too sharp of a turn, I think, for my liking when it comes to the way it's bent. But it does still look nice. It really is nice as far as the sculpt, but I think the paint on this one is a bit too much for me. It's just a little bit too ugly. The older one definitely looked much better, which is unfortunate because they've now retired the older one, but this one is definitely a step in the wrong direction as far as this Dimetrodon goes. As far as a size goes, from the head to the tail, about 6 inches, maybe a little under, or about 15 centimeters. And for a height, you're going to see the sail come in at about 3.5 inches or around 9 centimeters. So it's not a big figure. It's definitely a fairly small figure. Actually pretty close, I think I would say, to the Papo Dimetrodon. For a size comparison, there is Mr. Papo T-Rex, and you can see next to him that he is a fairly small Dimetrodon. Not bad, honestly. As far as the size of a Dimetrodon goes, I think it is a really nicely sized figure, but it is significantly smaller than the Papo Rex, but it would really quite nicely fit into the same range of scale as the Papo Dimetrodon. I wish I had it here actually to display next to it to show you guys. Definitely a similar size for sure. So as far as a Dimetrodon goes when it comes to the sculpt, I think it's pretty nice. It's nothing special, nothing over the top awesome. I've never been a huge fan of the Schleich Dimetrodon, but I really did quite like it, especially in the previous color scheme with the really nice brighter like oranges and stuff and the reddish colors that were on it. It really did look very appealing to me as far as the paint scheme goes. This one, not so much. This one, I think the colors are just a bit too bright, a bit too unrealistic. I really don't think that they've included too much as far as paint, or at least not that's noticeable as far as skin and color tone. You can really see that for the most part. It's kind of just that one greenish color with a slightly lighter green on the face, and then this blue that's dry brushed all over it here and there. That just really quite gives it an ugly appearance. I think that the right side looks a little better than the left, but overall, either side, they're still pretty ugly colors, and I would definitely recommend, if you are interested in picking up this Dimetrodon, to search out the previous release and buy the now retired version, especially before it goes and gets a little higher in price. I'm not quite sure how readily available it is now, as I do know, like I said, that it has been retired. But I feel like the older one is a much better and much more attractive looking Dimetrodon than this one. This one, the colors are just really kind of ugly in my opinion. The sculpt is pretty decent for a Dimetrodon, the paint not so much, but regardless, it's still fairly fun as far as the figure goes, and you can never really go too wrong when it comes to buying a Dimetrodon regardless. So if you do want to buy this one, I will include a link in the description to where you can pick it up for yourself. I will also try to find a link to the previous colored version so you can buy the much more appealing looking one if that's the route you would like to go. So go ahead, check the description, go buy either one of those, but before you do that, don't forget to please like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell to be notified of any future videos, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.